Hi guys, and welcome to a video on EU Rostermania. The title says it all, and we've seen a lot of discussion, especially on Reddit recently and on Twitter and everything about this COD burner, but it hasn't really said a great deal about Europe that has necessarily been correct. So basically I wanted to make a video to break down what is rumoured happening. Of course, there is a few things that have been rumoured in and around Reddit and on Twitter, and where I see the EU scenes teams ending up and where I've seen the players going. So, I mean, first and foremost, let's talk about the rumored new roster that's come out. So this is completely new. Like, everybody in this team has come from teams who have done all right previously, some who haven't done great. Initially, the first change that we did hear about happening was Unilad losing Alex. Now, I mean, this has been rumored for about a week or so that he was leaving. A lot of people are curious to what team he was going to go into, and then it was rumored that, and again, just to clarify that this is just rumors, that he's going to be teaming with Dave, Mad Cat, and Josh. So the roster will be Alex, Dave, Mad Cat, and Josh. And let's just cast our minds back to last year and how some of these guys did. Mad Cat probably had his worst year we've seen on the big stage from him, unfortunately. I feel like he was consistent, but that whole Splice team just didn't breed a lot of confidence. It didn't work throughout most of the year, outside of a couple of decent results, and that was when they still had Tommy as well. So when they made that change to Josh, things didn't go great for them, and that's going to lead me on to Josh. Josh didn't have a good year last year, right? He was one of these players who, we've seen fantastic things from him previously, but when he got on the Splice roster, he didn't do much. Red Reserve, yeah, okay, they did all right. They got a couple of decent placements, but we've seen that Red Reserve team flourish as soon as Scraps got into it. Then, we'll start looking at the other player on the team, Dave. Epsilon. Easily the worst EU team last year in terms of the Pro League, of course. Dave being one of these players who previously in years gone has had a fantastic time of things, especially the past couple of years. He was a phenomenal player, but that whole Epsilon squad just couldn't really get anything going. It wasn't clicking, it wasn't working. I mean, I will say it hasn't helped when one of the players just doesn't turn up halfway through the year, or not even halfway through the year, right at the beginning of the year as they're about to go to their second event together. He doesn't show up. That's definitely not going to help, and we could have seen them maybe do all right with Nathan in the end. He was one of these players who, he was doing okay in that team, and they could have got better. They definitely could have got better, but definitely the heads weren't in the game throughout the whole year. Dave himself didn't perform to the standards that we've seen. So these are three players who have not had a good year previously. Alex has then left his Unilad team, who, after he joined them, after Zed joined them, after they made the change that everybody thought wasn't going to work out when Scraps left for Red Reserve, they thought Unilad are done. They're not going to be anywhere near where they could be. And they really surprised everybody. Alex coming into this team did fantastic. He did very, very well. He really become one of the best SMGs on the game in the space of a couple of months. And his rise has been meteoric. It's been phenomenal from him. He has played fantastic. Now he's leaving Unilad, who were a solid team in the grand scheme of things. All right, they didn't have a very good champs. Do you think they're ever going to win an event? I don't know. They're one of these teams that were my dark horse going into champs. They could definitely have done something. They didn't. The question is, do you think that Unilad could be one of these teams who win events? Alex, by the rumors, clearly doesn't think that that's a potential for that team. Personally, I think they probably could. But Alex it's looking like he's decided to go with this other team who, on paper, if you've seen this team be put together at the beginning of World War II, after the years that they had previously, Mad Cat, phenomenal, being one of the best players in Europe for a long time. Josh, all right, yes, slaying abilities not up there with some of the best, but in terms of leadership quality, he's one of the best in Europe. Dave, we've seen him have fantastic time on IW and on Black Ops 3. Going into Black Ops 4 now, you think on paper that team could do okay, but the question remains around Alex's decision. Will he regret that? If this is what team is happening, of course, it's very, very strong rumours that this seems to be the case. We've seen tweets left, right and centre from Unilad players citing that he's leaving, and this just seems to be the rumoured lineup. It would make sense anyway. But now that leaves Unilad with Bance coming in potentially. Him and Tommy seem to be the only two players that could potentially fit into that lineup. Previously, they had an option to get Tommy Unilad when they did actually pick up Zed. They had the option of picking up Tommy in that scenario. They didn't, which makes me feel like it's not a player that, notoriously they will get along with. Tommy has had his issues where he is sort of being pushed out of teams, not because of his gun skill, but because of the way that he is in a team. You know, what he demands and what he says tends to be what he wants to happen in his teams, and I don't know if that'll fit into the Unilad squad. We've seen them, as I said, have that option, and they haven't taken it. That leads me on to Bance. Bance, horrible year last year. Really didn't have a good time of things. So going into this year, I feel he's got a lot to prove, and I like to think that he fits the mold of Unilad and he could slot into Alex's position, because we've seen how much of an effective slayer Bance can be. Again, if you put this roster together, forgetting about World War II, you'd be fairly happy with the pickup of Bance by Unilad if that's what happens. Right now, though, after having a bad year last year, a lot of people will be thinking, a lot of Unilad fans will be sort of like, well, this is a downgrade. Alex performed fantastically. Bance, not as well last year, but, you know, the potential is there. If Bance can play to the best of his ability that we've seen over the past 3 years, not so much last year, the last 2 years before that, then this Unilad team could be just as good as they were with Alex. Again, I am going to say that I do feel as if Alex leaving that team could maybe be a mistake. On paper, that team should work. It should work. But are they going to be as good as this Unilad team were in the back end of World War II? We're going to find out if that team is actually a team in the end. I'm now going to move on to Red Reserve. This team seems to be sticking, which makes sense. Plenty of second places throughout the year. Plenty of potential to win events, and I think it makes sense. I think it does make sense. I think a lot of people have queried the idea of dropping Joe. I think that's bullshit. You don't drop Joe. Not a chance. I think he's one of the smarter players on the game. He can be very, very influential on what Red Reserve do in terms of their strats, etc. Okay, he's not an in-game leader, but he's a smart player. He knows what plays to make at every single instance. I think I would say that I compare him to Josh. He's one of these players who, right, okay, maybe in terms of gun skill, isn't the best on the team, isn't one of the best in the world at all. But realistically, he offers Red Reserve a lot that goes missed. It doesn't go unnoticed. So realistically, we can see Red Reserve sticking together. I agree with it. A couple of people are like, well, why don't you put Jerd into that lineup instead of Joe? It's a similar sort of fast player, smart player. But Jerd maybe has a better gun skill. I would agree. Jerd into that team would be good, but then that leads me on to what Jerd is doing. A lot of people are wondering what Jerd is doing, and rumours are surfacing. It seems as if an American team is what he's going to find himself on, or he's going to find himself with 3 players in Splice. 3 players presumably going to be American. The rumours are suggesting that Accuracy could be somebody who's in there with Jerd, which could be an interesting lineup. We see Accuracy have a fantastic time last year of things to see what he could do with Jerd. Jerd, very similar sort of player to Kenny. Very, very fast SMG. Didn't really thrive last year, but I think all the Splice players have been wanting that last year to probably be written off. But now we're going to go into Black Ops 4. Jerd really could be one of the best players on the planet at times, and if he can find himself a solid other 3, or potentially other 4, of course, then we can definitely see him doing bits next year, and I'm sure he will have all of Europe behind him, and I think that's where I'm going to end it. As far as rumors go, this is everything that's in the public knowledge. Obviously, I would like to think that I know a few other things, but I don't feel obligated to drop anything quite yet. I'm sure the COD burner will be up to that as much as he can anyway. We'll see on Reddit. But guys, thank you for watching the video. Please click like, subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to have plenty more coming, and we will see you in the next video.